Yeah, I think that gets us started in the right direction. Well, and we can circle back around on hardware. Okay, sounds good. Perfect. Yeah, I'll talk to you then. Bye. You are going to be seeing a lot more of that project soon. Hopefully. That's actually a perfect segue into today's conversation, and that is adding a little bit of character into our kitchens, personalizing the space so it represents you and your lifestyle. I know I harp on here a lot how kitchens need to be functional, and that is true. They absolutely need to be functional first and foremost. However, they also need to have some character, a little bit of style in them so that they actually are a reflection of you. One of the easiest ways to start doing this is in your cabinet hardware. It's really amazing how impactful these simple cabinet knobs or pulls can be in our kitchens. But they put a fine stamp or a finishing stamp on the overall design. There are tons of options when it comes to cabinet hardware today. Whether it is a metal in a unique shape or size, you know, there's blacks, there's brasses, there's brushed nickels, there's rose gold, there's tons of options there. Or leather straps, maybe it's acrylic knobs or pulls. The possibilities are really endless. While you can spend an absolute fortune on hardware, there's some really nice stuff out there, but it's gonna cost you. This is a place you can pull back, you can pare back, save a little bit money in the budget, and still wind up with some really cool looking pulls. Lighting. I've talked about it before. I think it is one of the most crucial components of good kitchen design. So if you're planning your space from scratch, think about how you can include pendants or sconces to the overall design. Not only does this provide good task lighting or even ambient lighting to your space, it's a great way to let your personality shine. I didn't even mean to make a light pun. Cheesy puns aside, light fixtures can have a huge impact on the overall space. And if you're just looking for a facelift, this is another great place to start. Take this light for example. It adds a really unique industrial flair to the kitchen that otherwise has a very modern feel. Or this one, which might not be the most functional, but certainly is an eye-catching feature of the space. Last simple one I want to talk about is your faucet. And I say simple because none of these first three really involve needing to renovate. They can all be applicable to someone that's just looking to freshen up their current kitchen. Just like cabinet hardware, there are tons of faucet options available today. The only real hurdle in this space is going to be budget. Now, unlike cabinet hardware, this is a place where I'd pony up a few more dollars for a good quality name brand faucet. I've come across far too many instances where people have bought cheap online companies or no-name companies online, and they haven't held up. They've either dripped or the cartridges have worn out, and they wind up replacing them far sooner than they should have to. Invest in a good quality, well-known, name brand, lifetime warranty, all those catchy terms, buy once, cry once. Now, if tech's your thing, look for some of the motion activated or touch to function options out there. Add in a freestanding piece to your kitchen. Whether you like that old farmhouse style or maybe that retro vintage vibe, a freestanding piece that sits in contradiction to your built-in cabinets will completely change the look of your space. Some of my favorite ways to do this are through a freestanding pantry or a Hoosier cabinet. I think that's how you pronounce it. But it's basically like a pantry style cabinet with a workstation on it, almost like a smaller buffet. All of this will sit though just in contradiction or against the really built-in look of the rest of your kitchen. If you have the space for it and you're planning right from the beginning of your kitchen design, you could even think about a freestanding kitchen island, something that looks a little more like a piece of furniture than built-in cabinets. Speaking of islands, emphasize the island. In many kitchens, the island sits front and center. It's a large feature right in the middle of your space, so emphasize it. Go with something like a unique cabinet color or maybe an unexpected color or a big feature slab on top, or you could even clad it in a unique finish. The yellow may not be your first choice for an island. In this particular kitchen, it does a lot to liven up the space. In addition, that pull-out and recessible baking center is such a cool idea. While this island doesn't instantly jump out at you, the wood slats and the soft rounded edges sit in juxtaposition to the rather boxy nature of the rest of the kitchen. I'm going to put the next few under the same heading, and that is tiles. I'll also start with the most obvious, and that's the backsplash. Now, a lot of kitchens out there, there's just simply too much backsplash to really lean in and make it a feature. It'll take away from it, it won't really give it that small punch of character, it'll almost become gaudy. Other kitchens though have just the perfect amount. And one of my favorite ways to really emphasize this is with small enclosed sections of backsplash. In a larger space, the blue tile would probably be too much. But in this constrained area and along with the range, it creates a focal point to the entire kitchen. Next, floor tile. Now, a few weeks ago, I brought up flooring in a video and I mentioned that I don't love tile for kitchen floors for a couple reasons. First, it can be hard underfoot after long periods of standing on it. And second, it can be difficult to keep the grout lines clean at times. I've also mentioned that I really like a continuous warm flooring throughout the entire home. But there are times where that's just simply not an option or it's cost prohibitive and you're going to have some sort of transition and tile can just fit the bill perfectly. Take this kitchen we did for a client last year. The black and white tiled floor ties in really well with the soapstone countertops and white wall cabinets. In addition, the transitions are rather seamless because of the narrow entryway into the kitchen and the butler's pantry. I think the key to this working well lies in transitions. If you've got a big open space and you don't have a small transition zone into your kitchen, or your kitchen maybe isn't somewhat segregated in a room all on its own, this probably won't work. Your cabinets. I probably shouldn't have left this to number 6 or 7 or whatever we're on now, but cabinets are a great way to add some of your own character into the space. For a long time, you could simply just go with a different color, a two-tone kitchen maybe. But that's becoming more and more of the norm. So instead of color, think about focusing on the door style. When you really start digging into the different options out there, there is a whole world beyond that standard shaker door and flat or slab panel door design. The slim shaker door is a perfect example of this. I find it walks a really nice line between a clean, modern aesthetic and a classic, timeless finish. If you're designing in a very specific era, you could even look at something like a fluted, a louvered, or a beadboard style door. Last but not least, open shelving. Golly, it just won't go away. If your main goal though is practicality, functionality, and hiding away clutter, stick with your standard wall cabinets. But open shelving is a great way to introduce some character into a space. Think of it more as a display shelf as opposed to storage. Maybe it's for artwork or some really nice dishware that you have, some colorful dishware you want to put on display, or maybe it's for storage vessels with some unique stuff inside. But, and this is a big one, the items you ultimately choose to display on that shelf need to be attractive and kept tidy. Otherwise, it's just going to look like a shelf with a hot mess on top for everyone to see. I'll let you in on a little secret too. I might be adding open shelving to my kitchen. It's a ways down the honey-do list, and it does require removing some of my backsplash tile, so there's that. But I think it's gonna happen. Anyways, don't be afraid to add a little bit of character, a little bit of personality in your space. Inject some fun into your kitchen. Don't just create another magazine cover that doesn't reflect you at all. After all, you're going to be spending a lot of time in this space, or hopefully you will be. So you might as well like it. As always, thanks a ton for watching, and until the next one, bye-bye.